Well, good morning. Hope everybody's going to have a good day today. Let me turn it around here and get my drink. I guess a few things situated here. Excuse me. I hate to cough this morning. Hey, Ponka, how are you? Get a little Mountain Dew in my body there. Hopefully, I won't be choking up so bad. How's the weather out there in Oklahoma, Ponka? I hope it's fine. Um, yeah, this week's. Oh, you got a rainy day out there. It's sort of muggy out here today too. It's sort of overcast. It rained yesterday. Yeah, about from noon on. It kind of off and on, off and on. Little clouds, a little bit of. In some areas, it got kind of heavy, but over here wasn't too bad. But we had some rain off and on and off and on. So it is what it is on that. Had a good week at the store. Store continues to impress me. We're getting more and more businesses learning where I'm at with my new location. My new location, and the fact that we've got a lot more inventory now is doing real good for us. So we're bringing the store level up to a whole new thing from what it was. We're doing probably 2 to 3 times what we were doing this time last year. Which wasn't a lot to brag about last year. It was I'd taken over the store in November of 17, and then we worked hard to try to get it rolling good, and with the help of Napa and a lot of other things, throwing a lot of money at it. Basically, it's it is what it is. Good morning. How are you through five? Uh, we're doing as good as we can. The trucking side, we had a couple little glitches this week. Of course, I had one guy that his father-in-law passed away, and then he is on a certain medication, and they sort of like ADD basically. And he had gone for a random drug test, and they failed him. But he has permission to run that and everything. Hey, Sarge, how are you? And so they kicked him out, and it took me 2 days to get that straightened out, even though he was legal and everything. Just to if you're in under doctor's care, there are certain medications like that you're still allowed to take. Well, that sounds good. 305. I'd love to have some more employees. I got openings in Savannah, Georgia. I had one in Charlotte, and I think we got it filled. It opened up. I had a guy to leave us to go out on his own. Hey, Mechanic Mike. Yeah, I hope everyone's doing good too. But it may have. I don't know what it did on that Sarge, but it tested, and they had to get it reapproved and everything else. I mean, he's been driving for me for about 6 or 7 years, and he's had this in his uh, file and everything else. But somehow or another, it came back that it was an unapproved medication, and until the doctors had to sign off on it and everything else. So it is what it is on that. But it was just a rough thing. And then what day was it? Wednesday or Thursday? I believe it was Thursday. I had a guy that had a yield sign. It was looking back to the yield, and a lady stopped right in front of him, and he bumped the lady. So it just one of those things that excuse me, guys. I'm gonna take another drink here. Got a little bit of like the old saying, I got a frog in my throat, and I was I was doing all right till it crossed its legs. Yeah, it does. And it rains, it pours. Hold on 1 second. I might have to. Excuse me, I have to do all my maintenance here. But that my light's looking over there. There it goes back on right. This uh, the guy, like I said, it's sort of funky. He was at the intersection going real slow, but he was moving. He should have stopped. He should. It's a yield sign when you're coming off the ramp. It's a yield going on to. He was a mile from the terminal. He just slowed down, and when he slowed down, he didn't pay attention to that car in front of him good, and he thought she was ready to go, and he just rolled right into her and bumped her. So that was aggravating. Yeah, you'll see. You've got to be cognizant of what the other person is doing. So many times you'll following too close is the biggest problem we have out there. And I noticed. I think we had not us personally as contractors, but another contractor evidently had a bump up yesterday on 77, and these rear end accidents are stacking up on us. And unfortunately, when we do something like that, even though this person had it was doing 3 or 4, I think the GPS says doing like 4 miles an hour. Excuse me. Sorry about that. He was doing 4 miles an hour when he bumped her, and she decided that she needed to be transported to the hospital to be checked out. Although you can tell she was up walking around fine and everything else, but she got out of the truck and saw FedEx on the side of the trucks and the trailers, and I guess she said, "Payday." So that's what happens sometimes. Yeah, we have that now. We have a we have them that uh, they test our drivers every year to make sure that they're fluent in English, and they've got to be able to read and write. And we've got some. I've got some guys from Guatemala and Mexico and a few others that are good drivers. And they're citizens actually. These guys have gone ahead and gotten their citizenship, or I think one of them's in a process. But I mean, they're legal. They're not illegals, and we can't have illegals. I mean, because we have to do an I-9 and everything else, check the background. So it's a little bit different. Felonies, it depends on the type felony. I mean, you can have a felony if it's far enough. I think it has to be more than 10 years. If it's certain categories too. It depends on the felony. I mean, I'm not that I can't say. That's a judgmental call on that. But it has to be more than 2 years. I mean, 10 years old. I know that. I mean, you have had to been cleared 10 years. So 2002 would probably clear that up. I mean, you're looking at 16 years, 16, 17 years. I don't know, but I mean that's a tragic thing if anybody has that happen. And they do. It's there's possibilities that they can. I mean, certain states have count certain things felonies and others. I mean, like DUI. DUI can be a felony in some states, and others it's not. And those kind of things are complicated, So it just depends on, uh, what it is, when it was, how long it's been, those type of situations. I mean, they're not totally. It just every individual case is different. I can say that. Yeah, what a race. The felony. Some of them you can, some of them you can't. I don't know. A lot of Europeans around. Yeah. I've not had many European. I mean, we've got a lot of Russian drivers and Czech drivers that come out of Chicago area. I know that because we have a lot of people that we meet and everything. Yeah, the felony. Okay. Yeah, some of the felonies I think you can get erased. Some of them you can't. It just depends. Well, hey, Chris, I was glad to see you. And Chris, how much did you pay for that winch? I was interested to find out. That was a good looking wrench, if you don't mind saying. I mean, if you don't want to say, that's fine too. But that was a good looking wrench. And where did you get it, if you don't mind? Because that winch looked like what was it, 13,000 pound winch? Okay, 1 second. He's going to look it up. Yeah, Chris is going to look it up for me. Yeah, he showed one on his podcast the other day. Rick and Chris are working hard to get in a basement made out underneath the house. That's Well, I think it just had a crawl space, and they're putting a basement under it, and it's been an ongoing thing for about a year, I think. I don't know, but they're working hard at it. 279 free shipping eBay. Oh, okay. Yeah, that was a good looking winch. That came from what was that? Sihana Corporation, wasn't it? Or China, or Sihana, as Chris called it. But have you got to try it out yet? That's the thing. Have you got to try it out yet, Chris? Yeah, Chris and Ricky got some good, interesting videos out there. They on Outcast. They've been. We hadn't installed it yet. Yeah. If anybody gets a chance to go to Outcast Projects there and check out Chris, I mean he's been working on that basement for a couple of years, I think, and they're doing good. Yeah, I don't know if you saw my comment on that the other day. I said, yeah, you should have hired the ones that got El Chapo out of prison. I mean, they tunneled under what was it? Gosh, a couple of miles underneath the prison wall and made a railroad and everything else and tunneled that guy out. Of course, he had a little bit more money. He probably spent a few more dollars than Rick and Chris would want to use, since he had all that. Um, yeah, yeah. El Chapo probably he had probably run a 3 shift thing on his. Had those guys working around the clock to get him out of prison, the tunnel underneath there. I mean, that's amazing. When you saw what he did and everything, but when you got the resources, and he had the resources, I don't know if they've dried up or not now, but he had the resources at the time. Yeah, but it's good to see. I'll get back on Chris and Ricky there. They worked hard. I remember doing something very similar to that. My dad, when we were young, he decided to do something similar. It was a pretty it was a pretty intense thing. We didn't get quite as far as Rick and Chris have gotten. and really didn't go into the procedures. And I think Dad, he decided, well, before he sunk much money into that, him and Mom actually bought some land and just built a whole new house with a basement and a nice basement and everything. Granted, a few years later, so we did that while we were young, but he saw that it was in vain, and we we did a little bit of remodeling and a few things on the house that we had and everything back then. But it was good to it was good to kind of say, hey, let's just start from scratch and do something different. But we didn't have he had four young boys digging with little army shovels, so it wasn't doing much good. I know that. No, my dad didn't have. He had four boys with shovels. That's all he had, and we were doing it with shovels. And we dug out a little cellar and everything underneath the house. And I remember we could, as young boys, we could stand up under it, but it wasn't much. And Dad saw that that was probably going to be in vain. And this was back in the late '50s, early '60s. Well, I guess late '50s, because we built the new house in '60. So I said the new house, the one Mom and Dad built. They built one in 1960, and they built a full basement, and it was great, and we enjoyed it. And it was a wonderful lifestyle, wonderful place for us to grow up and everything. So it worked out really good, and I'm glad Mom and Dad built that house. He bought about 30 acres of land outside of Cherryville and moved us all out there. And it was I guess a dream come true for us. We had a farm. We worked the farm, did a lot of things that Dad wanted us to do and that Dad wanted to teach us, and got us away from we were just I guess suburbanites up until that. We lived just right outside of town, just on about a 2-acre lot, and wasn't quite enough for Dad to do what he wanted to do. Now, where are you at 305, or where are you located at? Just tell me that. And are you, and now the only places I have to work are Savannah and Charlotte. Oh, you're in Miami. Okay. If you're willing to relocate to Savannah, Georgia, now that's, yeah, okay. If you'll move, now that I have openings in Savannah right now. Savannah is booming. We need more drivers up there than you can shake a stick at. I mean, more. I can't as fast as I can get them hired. We got them on the road. So Savannah, Georgia it being a port city and everything, is really, really growing, and they are occupying. I mean, you just wouldn't believe how much construction is going on down there. We've got two terminals. We got 3 terminals down there, and 2 of them are close to the ports, and they are building buildings right and left. I mean, every swamp that they can drain and fill in, they're doing it down there. It's amazing what they're doing and how fast they're doing it. Construction is just running it night and day down there in Savannah. I've not seen construction of these huge warehouses go up so fast. I mean, we saw one that was close to our 313 terminal down there, and my wife just exclaims, they cleared it out, and she said, that looks like a runway for an airplane. And it did. I mean, it was so, when they poured the cement slab, and of course they poured it, well, it's so funny. These places are putting so much cement in there that they're actually putting small cement plants in the locations so they can make their own cement on site, and then they can tear it down, I guess, and take it to the next location. But I mean, they're actually putting cement plants, portable cement or small cement plants, in the location where the cement pour is, because I have no idea. I mean, I can't even fathom how many yards of concrete they're putting out there. I mean, it's in the, gosh, I'd say hundreds of thousands of yards of concrete. I mean, it's unreal. It really is. I mean, when you get out there and you see something, one day they're all grading it out, and then a few weeks later, it looks like I said, it looks like somebody is coming in there and building an airport. And it's not an airport, it's a building, but it's a huge warehouse. And then they come in with the warehouses themselves come in with uh, the expanded cement. In other words, they're coming in with the cement walls that are prefabbed. They're prefabbed. They've got them so where they can just cut out the doors and everything else. So they're prefab walls, and they'll once they get the slab poured and the foundation poured, it seems like it's no time flat that they're putting these cement walls up, just trucking them in from somewhere, and you know they're constructed and up and going quick. It's really really amazing to see. Yeah, they stand them up with a crane. Yeah, yeah, it's wild. I mean, to see them. I mean, and that's what's going on down in Savannah, Georgia. I mean, you if you leave from down there and don't come back for 6 months, you think you're in a whole new different location because there's so many buildings around that weren't there 6 months ago. I mean, they put up our new terminal, our new 299. They put it up in 6 months. I mean, they told us, they said, "Oh yeah, we're going to be in it by October." I'm saying, "There's no way they're going to be in it by October," because I went out there and it was nothing but ungraded land. And 6 months later, 6 7 months later, we were up and rolling. And it's amazing what they can do. Yeah, well, Amazon is coming up, but I mean, you got all these other companies. Wayfair is a big account we've got down there in Georgia, and then there's what's the name of that? We share a warehouse at 313 with one of the great big furniture companies, and furniture is a big thing too because you think about it. We don't have in North Carolina, especially, we used to have a lot of furniture manufacturers up here at Hickory, up here at Thomasville. It was one of the leaders in the United States. You don't have that anymore. Uh, Broyhill, all these companies, Broyhill, Thomasville, all these companies are out of business now as far as manufacturing. So right now, yeah, Overstock's down there. That's right. Yeah, you're exactly right, Captain Jack. Overstock.com is down in Savannah, Georgia. I'll tell you a funny one about that. Uh, my wife, we were in Savannah, Georgia. I mean, not in Savannah, in Hilton Head, in a place near Savannah. My wife went on Overstock.com. She saw something she wanted. So she ordered it online, and we watched the tracking of it. And it's sort of funny because it was it was shipped by FedEx. So I mean, it was picked up in Savannah by one of my trucks, probably. I mean, and then it was taken from Savannah to Atlanta, probably with one of my trucks because I had the Atlanta routes. And then it was picked up in Atlanta, going to Charlotte Concord, which was with another one of my trucks that was based out of Charlotte that goes to Atlanta. So, and then we took it back into Concord. And then on top of that, I have one that runs a Concord route back in. So we had three of the four legs of that route. It came back to Cherryville. And guess what, guys? My guy took it, my wife, what she ordered, she took back down to Hilton Head to our condo. So I said, we could have gone 12 miles down the road and bought this if we could have gotten into the warehouse, and you could have picked it up and had it over here at the condo. Instead, well, I guess it kept my trucks rolling. So, hey, Greg, how are you? Nah, nobody's ever late. We're just and you're chit chatting away. But you'll have that sometimes. It was ironic. It was funny. I thought that she ordered it online while we're in Hilton Head. Forced our Hilton Head condo. It was a picture or picture frame. I don't know, some sort of girly thing my wife got. And well, FedEx's system. It's funny how that works, but yeah, they uh, yeah that one ran from Savannah. Of course, it depends on how they want to sort it out and everything, and it gets sorted pretty quickly. But yeah, that one went from Savannah to Atlanta, Atlanta to Concord, and then Concord back over to our local FedEx. Well, I actually went back to the FedEx and went up to Hickory, Hickory back down to Cherryville. And the only leg I didn't have was that Hickory back to Cherryville. I don't own that route or any routes involved with that. But I have trucks that go from Savannah to Atlanta and from Atlanta to back to Charlotte, Concord. So I was involved with and we tracked it, and you know, I was able to see it was 99%. I was 99% sure it was my trucks because I checked all the times and everything that correlated with my trucks, and they matched up. And it was really funny how that worked. But you know, that's the shipping business. You never know how far these things go, how many hands they touch, and everything, and then get back to you. Oh, you got you a new mower? Yeah. Yeah, I had to work on my mower this week too. Unfortunately, I've got a great mower, but evidently the mower got bought out by Jacobson, and then Jacobson has quit carrying his line. It's called Dixie Chopper. It's what I've got, and it's a huge mower, and I got a 3-cylinder Caterpillar engine on it, and it's a stout mower, 72-inch cut, and it's a bad mamma jamma, as they say. Yeah, yeah. The Dixie choppers that they've quit making them now. That it's all aluminum too. It's an aluminum body or sheet metal. Well, not sheet metal. It's aluminum. I mean, real silver. Looks like I guess it went the way of the what was the car I'm trying to think of? The one that was in Back to the Future that was all aluminum. That's the way this looks. Only it's a lawnmower. And uh, so you got a 60-inch deck. Yeah. Hey, Aloysius. DeLorean. Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't think of it. DeLorean. Everybody's coming in there. DeLorean now. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I was trying to think. Back to the Future. DeLorean, all aluminum. Yeah. Yeah. That's um, yeah. When you have these little mind farts there, you can't. I got so much. I got so much either in here or it's lost in here. I don't know what the case is, but I've yeah, stainless steel. That's probably what it is. It's probably stainless steel instead of aluminum. Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of also too. It just about will. I can tell you that. It'll do 16 miles an hour. That's what it says on there. It says on it's got the label on fastest mower, fastest mower in the east. I don't know what it is. Something anyway. One world's fastest mower. I think that's what they call it. But it's fast with a 3-cylinder Caterpillar diesel engine. And I got huge tires. I got 27-inch tires. I'm having trouble with that. I had one tire that went out, and I had to get a tire and had to special order the tire. And tire was very. I might as well be buying a tire for my tractor trailer truck, like $274, I think, for a tire. Yeah, yeah. They that's what they do. They buy out their competition, and I got a little bit of hay fever. My old nose is itchy this morning, but yeah, that's what happens sometimes. That they'll buy out their competition, and like I said, this one was bought out by Jacobson, I think, and then Jacobson decided to shut it down. From what I was told by some of the dealers, because I was trying to find some parts. No, it doesn't have a cab. It's got a roll bar. It's got the big roll bar on. It doesn't have a cab, but I've got my toolcat for doing that now. I've got a toolcat, Bobcat toolcat that's got a cab on it and air conditioning. If I want to get in the air conditioned mode, and which I do sometimes when it's 99 degrees out here and you want to mow a little bit, then I use my toolcat, and it's air conditioned, and I can get out and I got a finish mower for it, and I've also got a bush hog for it, so I can do either one. I don't know if those Dixie choppers. I don't think so. They you might could put a vinyl type top on it or whatever, but I haven't ever seen one like that. They're an open air, zero turn radius, mower like the rest of them, the ones that I've seen. So I don't know if it's ever. And plus they're out of business now too, so I don't know. But it's a darn big one. I mean, you could put a cab on it if you wanted to. I guess I really wouldn't need one. Like I said, I've got that tool cat, and I don't know if you with a zero turn radius if you'd actually want to have a cab on it because you're gonna be spinning it around pretty quick. So that would be the difference. Oh, like cocaine. I didn't follow. I'm missing something there. Yeah. Yeah. It's got 27-inch tires, 27 by 13 by 12 is what it is. And you can get some, not SUV, uh, ATV tires. I believe it is an ATV tire. I saw some ATV tires that were close to the same thing I can probably get. Uh, but so far, so good. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen UTV. Yeah, I guess UTV or ATV. Uh, they, it's amazing what we've got out there now. I mean, when you think about it, I've looked at some of these UTVs. I mean, I like my little Toolcat. Toolcat's not fast though. Toolcat will only go up to 16 miles an hour. I think it is 16 or 18 miles an hour. And so I can put it. It's got two speeds. It's got a high and low, but it'll get up to my house to my shop and everything fairly quick. Sometimes I wish it'd go a little bit faster, but it probably would be a little top heavy. Hey, Blazebox, how are you? Everybody's doing good in here, I think. But having a big mower like that is handy down here on the farm. That's for sure. I I actually hire a lot of people to do stuff for me, but when I got to get out and do it myself, I like to be able to get it done. This week I've been aerating and everything. Where my grass went all to crap this year, and I didn't have time to do it. And even though it's a spring, we're going to go ahead and sow again this spring and see what we can get. We've got an irrigation system, so we're going to irrigate it good and hopefully be able to get the grass growing up again. I'm trying to read here. Yeah. Well, that's what I have to do. I try to get good employees, Chris. I've got a lot of employees, and I've got if you keep the good ones, and I've got several really good employees. Jim and Larry, they work for me night and day. Richard, uh, these guys, if I call them 2 o'clock in the morning, they'll get up and go. Uh, they do what it takes to do, and it takes that kind of dedication. Of course, I try to treat them fair too, and try to be good to them also. Pay them good, and try to give them time off when they need time off, and those kind of situations. But it's tough out there trying to get something that will do like that. Some of them are just want to be clock employees. Start at 8 and quit at 5, and do any other than just if I'm not on the clock, don't get up to swat a fly. You got them both ways. Yeah, they really are. I've got some good ones. I'm really pleased with the employees I have. Uh, I've got you always have a few that are a little bit questionable sometimes, but all in all, I got a pretty good tight organization. My Napa store, I really got it down. My Napa store, my guys over there are really good, and I've got like 6 employees, I think it is, over at Napa, and they work hard. They I've got the shifts lined up so they all can have time off good, and they um, we try to, like I said, we try to pay them good. I've got a new little girl trainee coming in. She took automotive mechanics in high school, and wants to be involved with the parts and service. I don't know if she wants to be a service writer or something one of these days. She's going to go to college. I think she's going to Nashville Auto Diesel, and she's wanting to come in and learn. So we're hiring her starting in a week or so. Yeah. Well, we've got, I want everybody to have time off for their families if they can. And that's important. That's important to, uh, it's important to be able to have a schedule where you don't hate your job. I mean, I don't want my town is only a small town. It's only about 5,200 people. Now the entire area around here, it's more of a rural type thing. We got a lot of farmers and everything else. I mean, the area has probably 25,000 if you take the circumference of the we're in the corner of 3 counties. I 1 mile from my store is another county, but I'm in city limits, and then if you go north, maybe 5 miles, you're in a different county. So they call it the tri-county area because we're right there in a corner of 3 different counties. So, and we've got other fairly good sized cities close by. Shelby, which is only about 12 miles to the west of Cherryville, is pretty good sized town. And then you've got Lincolnton, which is over in another county, in Lincoln County. Uh, it's about 12 miles the other direction. So we've got those, and then or the next town, little small town over, is Waco, and then on the other side of Cherryville is Dallas. So I like to, when I go off some places, I like to tell people, yeah, I live in a little town between Dallas and Waco, and that's the truth. But it's North Carolina. So we live in. If you look on your map, you can go on Google or whatever, and you can look up Cherryville, North Carolina. On the eastern side of Cherryville, sort of southeast of Cherryville, there's a little town called Dallas, North Carolina. It's about the same size as Cherryville, probably about 5 or 6 thousand people. And then to the west of Cherryville is a little small community called Waco, and it's probably only 1,000 people, if that much. But it's a little incorporated town too. So we've got 2 towns between, and I like to say that sometimes people, because they hear my Southern accent, which I don't think I have a Southern accent. I don't know what y'all guys think, but to me, that's just normal. But some people say, "Oh yeah, you got that Southern accent. Where are you from?" And some people ask me, they said, "Are you from Texas?" And I go, "No, I'm not from Texas." I said, "Although I do live between Dallas and Waco in a little small town." Yeah, 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 yeah. Y'all look it up on Google, and you'll see my little town. Yeah, it's Dallas, and on top of that, a little bit further east is Denver. So I got Denver on over there. They got a Denver, North Carolina, which is on the other side of Lincoln. So we got Denver, Dallas, and Waco. Those three towns that are known as big towns in other locations. But yeah, we're close to Denver, North Carolina, or Dallas, North Carolina, or Waco, North Carolina. Yeah, I use y'all a lot, so I guess y'all Uh, I guess that's the distinctive term that if I can use y'all in the right sentence, you know I'm Southern. Uh, Small drag strips. There actually used to be one just a few miles from us that was down here on Dallas Cherville Highway, a Walker Heights drag strip, and they used to get big name people in there. I mean, I went down there to see the guy that ran the Hemi Under the Glass. If you remember that, he actually was on Jay Leno's show and wrecked the car a couple of years ago. But it was a Barracuda that they had, and they called it Hemi Under the Glass because they had put a Hemi engine in the back of this Barracuda, and it would do wheelies real quick, and he would tour around. And I saw him down at this Walker Heights drag strip, which is only probably 4 miles from my house here. But they closed it down. The restrictions of all these drag strips. Now the big drag strip, of course, we have the one in Charlotte, which is right down the road from us. You know, the big one, the huge NHRA that Bruton Smith started down there, and that's only about 35 miles from here. The Charlotte, well, maybe a little bit further for the track. I'm trying to think. Yeah, probably a little bit further because it's over on the Concord side. So about maybe 45 to 50 miles from us. But it's easy to get to. I mean, you're straight down the Interstate 85. Interstate 85 is only 10, 12 miles from me. And we can jump on it and then run straight down to Bruton Smith Boulevard down there where Hendrix and everything else is. And they got the big, huge 4 wide, drag strip. Now they got a shady side that's a small track that's about, I want to say 15, 20 miles from here. So we got a couple of small tracks like that too. But that would be the smallest drag strip that I know of, Greg. And I actually, my nephew is into. He owns a car and sponsors. Well, he sponsors it and owns it, and the driver has a big sponsorship called. And it gets out. I guess it's a mediocre type sponsorship. It doesn't go to NHRA. It goes to a lot of the small strips and goes to a lot of the medium drag strips. But it's called Moonshiners. There's a Moonshiners TV network, I believe it is, and that's my nephew's car. He actually owns that car and builds that car, and they hire the crew out and everything does that. But the Moonshiners, if you're familiar with it, there's a TV show. I don't watch it myself personally. I watched it once or twice. It's about moonshiners up here in the North Carolina mountains, North Carolina, Virginia mountains, and it's supposedly a reality TV. It's sort of I don't know. I'm not real big onto those things, so I don't know what it is. But y'all guys, yeah, something like that. If I got some good old Southern slang, I guess I don't know. But I try to, I tell it like it is. I'm an old Southern boy, and what you see is what you get with me. I've been out here in the trucking business for 52 years now, since 1967. I've been primarily in the truck. That's been I've done other things too, but my primary source of income has been truck related. 32, I'm in my 32nd year with FedEx. I was RPS and FedEx. I'm one of the oldest contractors in the area for them. Oh, that the Moonshiners left TV all of a sudden. I don't know anything about that. I mean, I know that they were dealing with that, and that was their sponsorship or whatever. I don't know how these drag cars do all that stuff. I know they were doing that. It was a fast machine. It would it would jump up there competitive with all these things, but he's moved on now. My nephew is he owns a Jones and Son services. He does truck repair work and everything. He's got a pretty good size thing. Um, I guess so. I don't. But anyway, getting back to the other, I was talking about. Yeah, trucking has been I guess our lifestyle in my family all my life. My dad was a truck driver also. Dad worked at Carolina Freight for 38 years, and he was a line haul. Initially started as a line haul driver, and then hold on a second. Initially, this old weather changes and all this pollen and everything getting to me, but Dad initially started with Carolina Freight, I think in the late 40s, early 50s, and worked there until he retired. And he was a line haul driver for a while, but he had a bad accident, was almost killed in Philadelphia, got thrown out of the truck and sleeper and everything, and was in the hospital for a long period of time. And he left when that after that happened. He asked him to go on local, and so he drove local the majority of his career. Yeah, allergy season's upon us, isn't it? Yeah, it gets in me. I'm gonna have to go downstairs and take me a Mucinex. My voice keeps getting lower and lower and lower because my voice is going away from me. I'm gonna have to get some Listerine and some Mucinex and some other things, kind of clear my system out. I'm getting a little bit gravelly voice and everything like that. Yeah, yeah. If I drank, that's probably would be a good thing. I'm a non-drinker, so I don't. I guess the closest thing I'm gonna get is the alcohol content in the Listerine, and that'll probably get me there, Aloysius. But that's what it's all about. Well, guys, I'm gonna get off here. I've been on here about 45 minutes, and that's about as much as my voice will take. I enjoy chatting with everybody. Hopefully, I'll see you next Sunday morning. And y'all take care, and I'll see you around.